Hello and welcome back to Raven Art Paintings. Today we're gonna paint another Witcher from the board game called The Witcher Old World. This time we're gonna paint the Witcher from the cut school. As you can see, the reference card has a kind of like a bluish color theme, and we're gonna try to reflect that on our model. I decided to stick to this color scheme. It's very well presented, and that's the plan for it. Now, the mini itself was primed with the black primer from Citadel. As you can see, it's a pretty cool mini on a cool stand. As the color scheme is pretty simple, the mini is not so far because of the fact that it's very hard to reach number of areas on that miniature. First we're gonna start with the base, and we're gonna use 2 shades of gray with a little bit of the ivory. The colors I decided to use would be the Eshin Grey, the Stormvermin Fur, and then we're gonna brighten them up with the Screaming Skull. The reason for that is that we're gonna have 2 skulls that we're gonna paint it later on, so we're gonna highlight them with the same shade, which make our life easier. So the whole idea is we're gonna start from the darkest tone and do a bit of a dry brush, and then we're gonna switch to another one, and then the lighter gray we're gonna lighten up a bit with the Screaming Skull, as you can see now, and then we'll do the final touch of the dry brushing with the Screaming Skull. Once that's done, we can switch to our ordinary brush and paint the 2 skulls that lying down on the base in between those rocks. Now in our next tone we're gonna switch over to the Cadian Fleshtone, and we're gonna paint the skin. The only part of his skin that's exposed is his face, so just not a lot. However, you know, it's very hard to reach in there, so just, you know, be careful when you paint that. In our next step we're gonna paint all the brown parts, the leather stripes, the belt, all those bits, and we're gonna use the Mournfang Brown tone from Citadel for that purpose. Once that's done, we're gonna get our darker brown, which is the Rhinox Hide, and we're gonna paint his trousers and as well the sword scabbards. Next we're gonna switch to Macragge Blue, and we're gonna paint his blue clothing, and wee pieces of his armor as well would be in this color. Yeah, once you're painting this, again, you know, be careful not to paint over our previously painted stripes. The reason we're painting them first is because it's far much easier to paint around them than paint them on the surrounding areas and keep them clean. So I usually prefer to paint any kind of narrow stripes first before I put the main color. So as I said earlier on, you know, try to be so neat at this stage and not go over the areas that are not require this blue tone. Yeah, don't forget, as you can see now, to paint as well the inside of his hood. And again, you know, try not to go over the skin color. But if you do, don't worry, you know, it's an easy fix at this stage. Now we're gonna add some black, and we're gonna mix the black and blue, and we're gonna paint his boots with the kind of like I want to have that kind of like a dark shoes, pretty much black, but the black itself, you know, would be a bit boring, so we're gonna highlight this black leather with our blue tone a bit as well, and again that compose with our main color. Now, as you can see, I switch back to our ivory color, the Screaming Skull. Add a little bit of the medium again, as you've seen my previous clips, just to extend the drying time on the brush. And we're gonna paint the eyes, the white part of our eyes. Again, try to be precise, but again, don't worry if you know it doesn't work for you for the first time. You can still go back to your skin tone and make necessary corrections. As I did with my previous video, I use the same method for the eye pupils. So we're gonna get a bit of a black mixed with the blue and do a stripe, the vertical stripe across the eye white. You can go over the skin, don't worry, just try to put the nice straight line. And then once that's done, we switch back to our Cadian Fleshtone, the skin color, and we're gonna paint over the black above the eye and below. In that kind of case, you don't have to do a nice wee dot over it. You simply put one horizontal line of the white or ivory, and then one vertical line with the eye pupil color you want, let's say in this case the black one, and then you paint over the skin color around it. And is probably the easiest way to get the eyes done. In my next step, getting back to our dark bluish black color, and I put a wee bit of dark hair coming out from under his hood. Next, I got a wee bit of the Evil Sun Scarlet just to paint his lips. Again, you know, don't worry if you go a little bit over, as you can see I just did. So still easy fix at this stage with our skin tone. The reason I got some bright color for his lips is because we're gonna put a beard and mustache later. Now, as you can see, with a bit of ivory, I paint over the wee kind of roping that's hold his armor on his side and on his arms as well. Now my next step would be the wee stripes, leather stripes on his scabbards on his back, and I decided to go with the Steel Legion drop initially. I mentioned earlier on that I painted the scabbard itself with the Rhinox Hide, but again, I usually paint the those leather stripes that holding it first, and then do the rest. So as you can see now, the leather stripes are painted with the Legion drop, and then I'm painting the scabbard itself now with the pure Rhinox Hide. For the sleeves, as you can see on the reference picture, he had a kind of like a goldy yellow tone, so I decided to paint them with the XV88. However, those sleeves are only on the top of his arms. Underneath there will be a metal armor, so just don't forget that. Now, I had forgotten the plate shoulder pads, so I have to go back to my blue at this point. So you might as well just to do them straight when you're painting the blue parts initially. At this point, I decided to go with my first wash, Seraphim Sepia, and I put on the skulls on the base that we had painted earlier on. Next, we're gonna get our metallic color, in this case the Ledbelcher, and we're gonna paint most of the metal parts at this stage. There is a bit of a chainmail armor underneath his arms, is visible here and there, so make sure you cover it all. And then the sword itself. But before we paint the sword, I'll have to show you how I did in this case. It is very hard to reach without staining his head. Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, I get a bit of a paper and stick it in between his hood and the sword, and then just simply paint it over. Make sure that you have the right type of the paper, so it's not gonna so the color would not go through the paper while you painting that, and it's an easy way to avoid staining the hood from the metal paint while you're doing the sword. And just as well, I decided not to paint those sequins on the armor yet. Especially on that blue part, I want to do a bit of a highlighting first before I paint those final metallic details. Now we're gonna get shaded our miniature, so I decided to go with the wash, the mixed 50-50 of the Agrax Earthshade and the Nuln Oil, and we painted all over the mini, obviously except our previously done base and the face, of course. And once that's done, I get back to the base, so I got our Screaming Skull and do a bit of a dry brushing, so I remove the excessive paint on my dry palette and then do a tiny bit of the dry brushing of those two skulls. Now, as you can see, I got a bit of a masking tape. This is the masking tape, I think from Tamiya, and cover a bit on his shoulder, as we're gonna do a bit of a highlighting on his face, and I don't want that part previously painted to get stained with our skin tone. So this is a protection. As I said, the model is pretty hard to reach in some areas, especially the face, so that's the reason. Now, as you can see, I did add a bit of a Kislev Flesh to our original skin tone, and that's our highlights, so we're gonna do it in a couple of stages, with the final touch of adding a little bit of the Screaming Skull as well. At this point, I'm gonna paint his beard, so dark watery color, the previous one we used for the hairs, and we're gonna put it here and there, you know, his beard, mustache, and just, you know, make sure you don't go over too much or too dark. That doesn't have to be black. The nice gray would be dark gray, would be sufficient for that. And as well a wee correction of his lips, so it's just a mixture of the skin tone with the red, just to bring them up a little bit more. Now, so this is how our miniature looks so far, and now we're gonna move to do a bit of a highlighting. So first we're gonna do a brown highlighting. We're gonna start with our original brown tone, and we're gonna add the Skrag Brown in a couple of stages, and the final one maybe we're gonna use a bit of a Screaming Skull as well. So we're gonna cover all our stripes and belts that we previously painted. Again, try to be as much neat as possible. Some of them are very thin, narrow, just not to go over our shaded blue. Our next move will be mixing the Screaming Skull with the Steel Legion Drab, and we're gonna use this mixture to highlight the stripes on the scabbard, the stripes that hold the scabbards on his back. And again, we doing this in a couple of stages. Just to bring it up a little bit more here and there, especially on the kind of light exposed areas. Once that's done, we bring in up our Rhinox Hide a little bit again, just to highlight it further here and then. But again, I prefer to do that once the stripes are already done, so we're not gonna get it dirty. Next, we getting back to our blue. And again, we're gonna do the highlighting with adding a little bit of the Screaming Skull to the stone in couple of stages. So initially we're starting with the pure Macragge Blue, and again we're not cover the whole lot. We leave some areas darker. Remember, we put a bit of a shading here and there, so we cover it most of the parts, but not fully. And then we will be adding a little bit of the Screaming Skull and do a little bit less and less with every layer we're gonna go on. Now, as you can see, we add in our first highlighting, and we will be painting over here and there, just to bring it up. If you have any doubts where to put it, it's a good idea, to get the miniature with the direct light from above, let's say a torch or anything like that, and you see what areas need a bit more light reflection than the others, and then you do apply your highlights in those. And finally we're doing a very kind of a bright blue, and dilute it properly with clean water, and then just to do the very bright parts of the most exposed areas. And once that's done, again we'll do a bit of a thicker mix of very bright, and we do the edge highlighting on those armor plates that he have attached to his belt. And as well, the other parts of the armor have a kind of nice bright stripe on our reference cards, so we're gonna give them a nice highlighting with a very kind of, like, I would even call a sky blue. Now at this point as well, using the pure Screaming Skull, I'm just gonna give a nice touch to those wee ropes that hold the armor, so you can see two of them on that armor plates attached to his belt, and some of them to his armor plates. Now we're switching back to our XP88 and do a bit of a highlighting on that yellow goldy material on his arms, and as well we're gonna paint it only from the top of the surface. I'm not covering the whole lot, and then once that's done, we again add a little bit of the Screaming Skull to bring the tone of this color further up, and do a couple of stripes of that here and there, just to make it look like a clothing material. Now our next step will be do a bit of a highlighting on his boots. So I do a couple of stages. So initially I mixed our black with our bluish tone, and do a bit of highlighting here and there. Again, it's a little bit of the blue, and the majority of that needs to be black, and then add a wee bit of the ivory again. Want that nice pastel color, but again that's such a tiny bit here and there. And then we're gonna finish it off with very watery bluish paint on the kind of most shiny exposed areas. However, that's not the end. I want to blend those tones a little bit more, and we add initially a blue wash from Citadel, which is the Darkenhof Nightshade, and once that dry off, I also put a little bit of the Nuln Oil as well. So towards that process we got in a kind of nice effect of the black leather. Now, as you can see, do a bit of highlighting of the trousers. So initially I start with the pure Rhinox Hide. Our wash make it much darker, so the pure Rhinox Hide did the job. But then we're gonna add some more light brown color to it as well. So Gorthor Brown. What I did in a few seconds ago, as you can see, I put the clean coat of the Rhinox Hide, and before it dries off I apply a bit of our lighter brown. So I do a bit of a wet blending here on that exposed areas, which is mainly the knee. But those trices are nicely formed on this miniature. You can see the folding of the material, the fabric that they made of. So that's why when you move your brush with very little paint on it, the recesses will remain dark, but the other parts of the trousers will get a bit lighter. As you can see, I remove most of the paint of my skin. It's a little bit like doing a dry brushing, but not completely dry brush. I want that paint to come through pretty firmly, but only on the exposed part of the skin. And as well on the scabbards in the back, you might use that bit lighter brown to do a bit of a edge of that stand off. Now I get back to our brown mixed with a little bit of our XV88 and do a wee stripes on his boots. Remember, after the second layer of wash we get them a bit darker. Now I have mixed the black with the Ledbelcher, and we're gonna cover the most of the leather parts with our mix. Again, as you can see, for the tiny little details, I like to add a little bit of the medium. Again, it's the drying time, the factor, so if you use a tiny little brush, in this case I used, I think, 0. The metallic paint like to dry off very quickly, so if you add a little bit of the medium into that, you have that extra couple of seconds to work on it. So cover all the metal details, and that's how our miniature presenting at the moment. Yeah, so just to finish it off, we're gonna add a little bit of blood. Again, this is the Citadel blood ready mix, which I'm quite happy with it. The blood for the blood god. As you can see, I use a wee stick. That's a kind of rod, steel rod, 0.3 millimeter in thickness, and it's perfect to apply tiny wee stains of blood. So I put a little bit on the base as well. It looks like, you know, it's dripping off from his sword, and it's looks pretty cool. Our last bit, you know, paints the base rim with the color that's reflect on his board, which is blue. I don't use then those plastic rims that are in the game. I just simply color the miniature into reflecting color. So now this is it. Our miniature is painted. I hope you enjoy this video, and I hope you enjoy watching that miniature to get some color on it. If you do so, please don't forget to thumb up. Don't forget to subscribe the channel if you don't want to miss any further videos, and I hope to see you back on my next clip. Once again, thanks for watching and see you next time. Take care, bye now.